Good morning. Welcome to Retro Toy Princess. I'm Allison Choi, and my guest today is Cory from Make, Shape, Create. I got it
What's
right
up?
that
Yeah.
time. I think I flipped it around. Last time, I think when we did the interview, I think I kept flipping. I kept calling you Make, Create, Shape, I think, because I was nervous.
People do it all the time. I did not pick the easiest name.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 years ago.
No, I was super nervous. Like, because one, I was a fan. Well, I'm still a fan. It's not like it ended. But I only knew you from watching your videos at that point. So it was, and like you're a bigger, yeah, like you have more subscribe. At that time, I didn't even have 200 people yet. So it was a gamble, but I was like, I like this dude. I like his work. I want to do interviews with people I like. You're the last interview, actually. No, I did Ken for Delta, but that was not a live stream.
Yep.
So anyway, that's a long way. See, I'm fangirling right now with Cory, even though we hang out sometimes on Saturdays at Oz's. It's completely different this way. So really quick, let's say hello to the chat really quick. Oh wait. There we go. There's the chat. Look. StreamYard says live viewer comments show up on StreamYard. Hello, Largo. Welcome.
What's up?
Here I am saying good. It's like Inception. Good morning, Thanos. Nolan is here, so we have arrived. We're officially an official Toy Tube event.
I don't know if I saw him pop up last night on when we were on. It wasn't Oz, it was Aaron, but
I was busy putting furniture together, so I was not on chat. So he may have. Good morning, Cobb. He's awake, which he's also on the West Coast, so it is almost noon, Cobb. So I'm just saying. But you were up till like 7 a.m. Oh, it's people saying hello, hello, hello. Oh, good morning, Rhea. And because StreamYard shows it in a way, I can tell that's a cute little Batman in your icon. So I can't always tell that when I'm on YouTube chatting. So
yeah.
All right. So far, so good. We've got the people. We've said hello. So really quick, Cory did original art, which is amazing and fun. And he did He-Man and he did She-Ra. So Cory is going to do the He-Man. I'm going to start with the She-Ra. I'll probably, hopefully, fingers crossed, get them both done. But it's not been happening. I keep saying it. I just get too fussy these days. So yeah, we've got some original art, which is cool. And I'll get. We'll do the
the figures are original. The backgrounds I found online and
yeah, it's called it's called collaging. So
there you go.
But the figures are the important part. So
right.
So we'll do the official. This is the official part where the fact that I'm a weird coloring and toy tube hybrid channel. I'm art and toys. Okay. So I'm coloring today. I'm gonna start with the 24-piece Black Widow set. It's the edition 1000. This is a starter set for Black Widow color pencils. We use these today. So as you can see, some of these I use a lot. Egg yolk, it's a good yellow, which will be great for She-Ra. And some of them I don't use at all, like this Casper. The white pencil is called Casper. If I ever do a pencil set, my white pencil would be called Mayo Sapien. So this I'm using. Excellent. And it's funny because I think you and I had recently had a convo in chat about Crayola. And I've not had.
It was when I was asking about this because I was going to try to do watercolors, but I couldn't get it to print my printer to print on watercolor paper because it's too thick.
Well, it's funny. Yeah. People make fun of Crayola. I don't think we should. It's how we all started for the most part. But I'm also going to, because I don't own any, because I've got all the fancy adult art stuff. I'm going to pick some up, though, because I'm going to start using some different things for my backgrounds.
There you go.
And it would probably, I think, be fun to use Crayola in some cases for a background, because I could get a lot smoother of a look with it. So anyway.
Yeah.
So we're going to get started. Really quick, let's see. I think we've got a few new chat people. Well, not new to me, but new to today. Good morning, Toy Mama. Lovely to see you. And if Christina's here, that means Adam, aka Radical Toys, is not far behind. Lovely to see you both. Adam was here a few weeks ago, and we did some of his original Voltron art. So, and then Eldor last week with his original Grayskull art. I'm just getting all the art. Cool. I'm getting all the art, people. This is excellent. Really quick, I am going to say, if you're watching this and you like either of these pages Cory has created for us to color today, reach out to him directly. I'm sure he would enjoy sharing. I did not put these up on my community tab because I did not ask Cory about that. And
no, you totally can. It's totally fun.
If you reach out to Cory, because Cory likes to hear from people who enjoy his work. If you've not subscribed to Make, Shape, Create, what are you doing with your life? Because Cory does amazing custom work and art stuff. So anyway, shameless plugs out of the way.
Appreciate it.
Well, like I said, you're one of my, I totally asked you to do that interview that time because you were one of my favorite creators. And I was like, why the heck not?
Right.
Well, also, you were one of my favorite.
You don't ask, so.
Yeah, right. Well, also, I'm sort of in the Toy Frenzy Oz sort of geeked out life, pocket of people, and now you're sort of one of us, but at the time you weren't.
No, you actually introduced me to that whole crew.
Yeah, so it was fun because I was like, well, not only will I interview Cory, and because I didn't even know your name was Cory. I remember asking you in chat, what do I call you? And because I don't know if you probably say it in some of the videos, but
I used to say it in all of them, and it was because I used to open differently, but then I went to for those that don't know, I started as a DIY channel. I wasn't a toy channel. I was a maker channel, and I guess technically I still am, but I went to a conference called Workbench Con, and they had a how-to, what to do with videos and this and that, blah, blah. And instead of just doing what I was doing, I thought it would be a better idea to do what they said. And I still kind of used some of it, but, it's very much if you can show it, don't say it. If you can, you don't need to do a whole long-winded opening because you're going to, lose people's attention, blah, blah. Yeah. And so I stopped doing that. I just kind of went in and didn't say anything till the end. And I've kind of, I say a little more. I've gone back to saying a little more than I used to, but I still don't say as much as I did before, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it makes perfect sense. You have to find that, sort of the balance of that.
Yeah.
I've gotten to a point where, because I have that my opening is I think 13 seconds, which is a borderline almost. I'm going to read you that. My sort of 1 year of making content.
Yeah.
Is on July 1st. That was when I posted my first actual video that wasn't my opening. I threw my opening up months before I had content. I'm like, I'm going to make stuff. Let me make sure people... But I also gone on Toy Habits, so I gotten some subscribers because of Toy Habits.
Yeah.
Because, I went on there and I'm like, I'm going to be doing a channel and it's coming. And they were like, go subscribe to Allison. So I got 79 subscribers from Toy Habits without having any content. Just based on going on there and then, certain people. It was that Sally Field, they like me, they really like me moment. Where I got on there, I had some stuff. I talked too much, of course, as certain people have let me know. I don't ever shut up, but, whatever. It's called the internet, people.
Right.
I'm not on here talking about politics. So anyway. um,
Why don't you want to talk about politics like everyone else?
Because I don't want anyone to know what I think, so that way, if I have to help overthrow anything, it's a surprise. That's how they find you. No, just kidding. I did think at one time about making a fake conspiracy channel where I just, like anonymous, obviously, I wouldn't have my name on, where I just made stuff up and got on there and just like made up the crazy. But then I'm like, people will believe it, and that's how people get killed in 2020. Everything, because people don't know satire. So that's the only reason I don't have a fake conspiracy channel where I just make shit up, because
people don't have a sense of humor like they used to.
They don't, and I hope, and it's not even, it's not even the we can't joke about, we can't make fun of people or make racial humor. It's not even that. It's just, it's like, you can't, sarcasm is sort of dead on the internet right now.
The funny thing about that, about what you just said, is one of my best friends is literally 30 days to the day younger than I am. I call him my black brother, and we will send each other the most racially insensitive stuff back and forth all day long.
Yeah, well, like, you can sort of joke among friends. I think that remains, because and this is sort of what I was telling somebody, because I have a couple friends that we share some messed ups, but we also know exactly where the humor is coming from when we send it to each other, because we know each other. But it's like on the internet, people don't know who the hell you are. Yeah. It's so easy to be taken out of context because they don't have context. And so, like, I'm okay. And, like, the one thing I'm not, I do have a ukulele already if somebody wants to cancel me. I've already gotten half of the song written of my non-apology. But, so you guys have that to look forward to. But I think, because there are a few people I still send quote unquote cancelable, things that would get me quote unquote canceled. But it's like they also really know we're also generally making fun of the type of people who make those sort of insensitive jokes.
Yeah.
And it's often sarcastic, like, but like, sort of all that nuances. The internet's not good for nuance, I think.
No, it's not.
And that's
there was a post. I was talking about this on the live stream last night. There was a post. Someone was talking about their Eternia and how the box had come damaged. And like, I totally do understand that, like, as collectors, we want, the boxes, we want the packaging, we want this and all that. But as someone who works in shipping and receiving, I also understand that the whole point of the box is to get said thing to you intact. If the box is damaged and the toy is not, the box did its job. But people were up in arms with me about this, and I'm like, are you serious? Like, it's a box, guys. Like, if you went, and I even said, like, the homeboy was like, if you went to if you went and got a new car and the car was damaged, you'd be upset. Yes, absolutely. If I ordered a $600 Eternia and Eternia was damaged, I would totally be upset. You're totally right. If you go to the dealership and get a car and the white film, plastic film they put on the outside of the car is damaged, I don't care.
Wait. Oh my God, the sticker on the window that tells me how much it is, it's crooked. I can't use with this. How dare you try to sell me this car? I want a refund. Give me a new car. The sticker's crooked.
Or like, and then I use the example, if you go to Office Depot and buy a $600 desk and the box it came in is damaged, but the desk is okay, you don't care.
Yeah.
And people just did not understand it. And then someone else said, well, if you get a refrigerator and like the refrigerator is damaged, you're going to be upset. Yes, again, but the box is what we're talking about. We're not talking about the contents. Like, you're jumping in halfway through and not understanding what people are talking about.
You're right.
It just boggles my mind because, like, I even said it started it just to be kind of funny. And like you said, like no one gets the sarcasm of it anymore
Yeah, it's really
unless you're
hard.
among friends, and then they get it and they're just like he's like pulling your chain, guys.
Yeah.
Like he's just trying to start some stuff. Like,
well, I'm also that person though, and if I start something sarcastically, but people are too dumb to get it and they sort of take it seriously, I'm also very spiteful and very I'm a Taurus, so basically I will dig in and I have argued. It's not, somebody's like, oh, so you play devil's advocate. I'm like, no, people who play devil's advocate are just trying to make trying to trot out like their shitty opinions and pretend it's not their opinion. I literally will make up like shit to fuck with people. Excuse my French. We've far enough in the YouTube won't
I don't.
sorry.
I don't.
I'm a little unfiltered this morning.
I try to keep it off the channel just because, it's toys, and I'll still slip one in here and there, but I try to keep it as friend. Yeah,
I try to too, but anyhow. So I apologize for the F-bomb. We're still PG-13 though, so that's good. You can do one F-bomb in PG-13. But I will sometimes, sort of say something sarcastically, and then somebody is so dense and they don't get that it was sarcasm, and they try to argue earnestly. So I'll just dig in and keep going and not even.
Yeah.
And then 3 days later, be like, actually, I didn't think that. It's just you were so annoying that I did. I did for the day. Thanks.
Now I will say, I'm really good at seeing both sides of an argument, and so there's a lot of times where I will say, like, to play devil's advocate, I do see what this person's saying. I don't agree with them, but I do understand.
Largo hitting us with the knowledge.
Nice.
Pulling that up so I can remember
I tease my wife Jess all the time because she calls them crowns, not crayons. And I'm like, I don't need something to put on my head. I need something to color with.
See, that's where I'm going to assume your wife is probably from somewhere in the South.
No. She's from Baltimore.
That's the South. Baltimore is like the South. Like, I know you guys think
Baltimore kind of is. We're like, yeah.
Good morning, Terrence. If you go to Louisiana, the Louisiana accent in certain parts of the state is Baltimore with just a little bit more Southern on it. But
yeah, absolutely.
Morning, Terrence.
They have a little more. You go down south. It's really the twang just kind of comes out a little more. Carol.
Morning, Carol. Stanley's Toy Channel has joined us. Hello, Stanley.
Hello, Stanley.
I don't know if everyone in chat has subscribed to Stanley. Please do so. He's got great reviews he's been doing. He's a smaller channel right now. We could all go build him up. At some point, I'll get Stanley on here to color with me. Good morning, Kenzo.
Make a list. Like I tried to, especially like in the chat on Instagram. I tried to, follow and go subscribe and all that stuff, but I'm not always great at it. Yeah.
But So anyway, I made right before I started doing the coloring these Sunday live streams, color with a friend thing. I sat down and made a list of 20 people that I wanted to invite to hang out with me and do this. And, one or two of them are very sort of like, this person has thousands and thousands of subscribers. There's one or two of those. For the most part, it was just people like I thought would be fun to hang out with. I am officially at 13 of the 20 that I've got.
I would, and I don't know if he's on your list. I think from the interview, if I remember correctly, he was. But like, I would totally reach out to like a Pixel Dan or
he's on my list.
Dan Larson or whatever, because like
Dan Larson's not on my list yet, but he'll be probably on the second list I make.
I've met Pixel Dan twice, and both times he is like incredibly humble, incredibly nice, and like, I mean, granted, I also brought him gifts both times, so like.
Right.
He did have a reason to remember me, but like again, he remembered who I was. He knew who I was. It wasn't you genuinely tell that like he recognized you
Oh,
and
he's
stuff
a
like that.
great
It was very cool.
It's funny because I was gonna bring up Pixel Dan anyway because of the Eternia. We digress, and people who watch me at any regularness know it's like Rosanna Dano without the New York accent. I will digress and end up, but back to Eternia. So Pixel Dan for his patrons did a live unboxing of it. Well, not
Yep.
unboxing, but took it out and put it together.
Yeah.
So
Put together.
so I watched it live and was in the chat, and it's funny because he was talking. His box was a little not horribly. There were a few little dings in it.
Yeah.
And he was like, he asked at one point in the chat. He was like, I wonder if people who had this as a kid, like basically because the art on the vintage box was really good. And I just said in chat, like, we had it, but like my parents put it together the night before Christmas while we were asleep. That box was gone. It was already out in the trash, like by the next day.
I got it in the box, and I don't remember if me and my parents put together, but it was me and my mom.
Yeah.
I think it was probably her putting it together, and I was trying to actively play with it while she was trying to put it together. But then the box got folded up and sent out with the trash. Like it was not like oh, hold on, I gotta keep the box. Yeah, the artwork was incredible and all that, and it still is, but that was not the concern at all.
I was that kid where I usually, like, if I had seen the box I would have, which is probably why it went away. But we were also like at one of the grandparents' house, so like that was one of the years we had that horrible powder blue station wagon. There was nothing cool about that except how much shit you could put in the back. So but anyways, like it was all put together. So we had to dismantle it, but it went in the back of the station wagon. But like the year I got Crystal Castle, I saved that box art. I had the GoBots playset, like the box that came in.
Yeah,
was perfect. So that's where I would cut all of the art off the back of the MOTU and Princess of Power cards. All of the little file cards for superpowers were in there.
Yeah. To be fair, and this is not to call you out, but I'm a little younger than you are, and so like I'm young for MOTU, especially for vintage.
Yeah.
Like you feel, I was born in '82. It came out in '82.
Exactly.
I probably shouldn't have been playing with it at one, but my mom was a single parent, and it was like, hey, this keeps him occupied. It keeps him out of trouble. Like, here you go, have fun. And so, like, I have a picture of me. I was 1 year old, and I have chocolate all over me. I'm in a He-Man shirt. I have a He-Man birthday cake, and it looks like I got into the cake. No, I got into a box of Thin Mints, but it just so happened that I had a chocolate He-Man cake, so it looks like I got into it.
Yeah.
So, but like I was really into it, and I mean, it probably didn't help that it was on TV all the time, and stuff like that. But like, yeah, I mean, I was one. You figure when the line ended, I was 5.
Yeah.
5 or 6. You know what I mean? Like, to me, in '87 when the movie came out, like I loved the movie. Looking back, not so much. I mean, I still like the movie and I watch it still, but like
I like it more now than I did then.
I get why people don't, but like as a 5-year-old, it was like, when are they making the next one?
Yeah,
because like he's still alive. Like they have to make a next one. It says he's going to be back.
Yeah,
not understanding that like no, people like the fans do not like this.
Yeah,
like,
right.
To me, it was good. It was what it was entertainment. Like I've also understood that stuff is entertainment. Movies, TV shows, cartoons, they're entertainment. They are there to entertain, not please you, especially you individually. And I feel like us as consumers of this stuff have like lost that. And I feel like it kind of started back with Star Wars. Like the prequels. People were mad because it wasn't their Star Wars. What's up, Payne?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't their Star Wars. Well, it wasn't meant to be their Star Wars. Like it was meant to be their kids or their grandkids is Star Wars. Like,
Hey, Carol, these pictures are not yet. Cory just said it was
oh,
cool. So either message Cory. I'll go put them up on my community tab after the stream, so they'll be there, or reach out to Cory directly. Either way, we can get you copies of these pictures. They're
absolutely.
pretty cool. So I don't. When Adam was on with Voltron, I chatted with him beforehand about throwing them up on the community tab, and I sort of forgot to do that. I did not do that with Eldor. I specifically wanted people to go chat with Eldor because that gray skull is so epic. I was like, you need to go chat with Eldor. Like, I'm not gonna handle it for you. Go talk to Eldor. He's got some great art stuff. Like, but we'll make sure you, before the end of this afternoon, Carol will make sure that you have access to both of these. Anyway, sorry, I just wanted to.
No, not a problem.
So anyway,
I get long-winded, so feel free to cut me off.
Yeah, same. So, so anyway, yeah, like, so I sort of always save that. My mom would throw it out because, like, we didn't have the biggest house growing up. And eventually they bought like a little trailer, like one of those portable extra trailer things. So that's where our attorney and our flag lived, and the hive. And because, my dad worked in the oil industry, like he worked in the oil fields at sort of that peak time in the 80s. So there was a big chunk of time where he made really good money, and we had all the things. And then that sort of ended at one point, and we did not have all the things. So, but luckily we had all of the things when it mattered.
Oh yeah, I was the only child, and so my mom, especially before she married my who would become my father, before she remarried, she definitely like bribed me with toys or whatever.
Right.
So I got a lot of things that she probably couldn't afford to get me, but it was a way to get me to behave, get me to do this, get me to do that. And so it worked in her favor to just get me stuff, but then it also kept me entertained. You know what I mean? I learned to entertain myself at a young age because mom had to take me to work. Mom had to, take me here, do this or whatever. And I had to come along because, while yes, in the 80s, you could let a kid come home with a key strapped around their neck and it was fine. More so, especially than today. You didn't necessarily leave them alone all night.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we well, also, like, my parents were both boomers, and their parents, of course, were the silent generation. My grandparents all were Depression survivors, and both of my grandfathers were Korean War veterans. One of them had been a prisoner of war in the Korean War. He went on to work at NASA before it was NASA.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so they were not the most loving, affectionate grandparents, but they were very much sort of the 50s style parenting, where it's like part of how you show love and affection as you feed your family, because they all had like siblings or aunts or uncles who starved to death during the Depression or died from malnutrition or whatever. So when people are like sort of trash talking things like spam or boxed dinners or canned goods or whatever, it's like the reason all of that was developed was we had such food shortages and people died, and within the United States during the Depression due to starvation, and this was sort of a counter. That's why all of our all these creepy weird gelatin recipes we make fun of, it's like those weren't people being like sort of creative. This was like
Well, it
how
was,
people,
but it was trying to add a little bit of flavor to something that sucked,
and it
so
was
that
also
you could
a
eat.
way to make your food last longer to stretch it out. If you take
Yep.
a couple of things of canned mixed vegetables and mix that with some green jello, it may not be
Yep.
the most appealing thing to look at, but you got the kids to eat vegetables because it was in jello, so they won't get
Yep.
scurvy. Um, and like
I tell this story to this day. Like I was to this day I love corn. I've always loved corn,
yeah.
but to get me to eat peas, Mom would tell me it was green corn, and that's how she got me to eat peas.
Great. Yeah.
Like stuff like that. That's what my mom did. She just like uh purposely or non-maliciously lied to me to make sure I was taken care of. Like stuff like that
Right.
that didn't hurt. You know what I mean? Like the stuff that mattered, she didn't lie to me about. But
Yeah.
like,
Right.
you know, look, you like this. It's the same as this. And then 10 years later, it's like this wasn't the same as this. Shh, it got you to eat.
Yeah. Yeah. It was never a problem for me to eat vegetables. Like even as a kid, I loved like spinach and Brussels sprouts, and so that was never it was just getting me to stop eating.
I to this day, I hate trying new things. I have to do it
Uh,
on my own, or else don't try to make me try new food because I will not do it. Like my
I'll
wife
try.
is like this. Like nope, you have to let him do it because otherwise he will not eat this. And like I'll
Yeah.
just be like, nope, I don't like that. Like I will go into it. I'll try a bite and I'll be like, nope, don't like it, just because like I didn't want it to begin with.
Yeah.
I'm a picky eater like that, but like I've gotten a little better, but yeah, I'm not.
I'm more adventurous with food, trying new stuff if I'm the one cooking it or if it's like homemade.
Oh yeah,
Not at a restaurant. Like Matt took me to, obviously Valentine's Day was last week. He took me to a really nice Italian restaurant. And I got meatballs, spaghetti and meatballs, and like because my especially with Italian, my basic philosophy is I don't care how good your special is if you can't make spaghetti and meatballs, like that's this place. And it was really good, which means if they can do the basics, next time I go, I'll have the spaghetti and meatballs again. But I'll think about stuff that's not typical. Or maybe I'll
right.
get like the lasagna or whatever. But I'll get something predictable, something that I know what it is. And then third or fourth time we go, then I'll be like, oh, I'll try this weird thing. But of course, never anything with eggplant. Eggplant is the worst.
My
The worst.
we have started, especially me and Jess, but with my
It's a good one, Carrots.
uh, especially with
Good morning, Tony.
what's up, Tony? Sometimes when we go on a trip with my parents, but especially with me and Jess, when we go on vacation, like this week we go on vacation.
Yeah.
And when we are away, we try not to go to places we can go at home. So like we don't go to like an Outback or a Longhorn or Ruby Tuesdays or something like that. We try to go to places that you can only go there because it
Yeah.
makes you find something new. If I go to Outback, I'm getting the exact same thing I got the last 12 times I went to Outback. If I go to wherever I go all the time, I always get the same thing. Now Jess will change every time. She'll be like, well, today I want this. I
Yeah.
can tell you my order for almost every restaurant we go to now, and you could just order it for me, and that way it's ready by the time I get there.
Yeah.
I'm a creature of habit more so than she is.
I used to always, when we would go to Applebee's, I would get the appetizer sampler plate with all the different appetizers, and then
What
the
Jess does.
Chinese chicken salad. And I used to go with my one housemate, and he was like, the only thing I don't like, and I would order that, and he's like, that's what my mom orders. I'm like, well, I'm definitely not your mom. And he was like, yeah, because if you were my mom, you would take 3 bites, look at me, and go, this just isn't as good as it used to be. And
We do this. My mom and I, when we go to Ruby Tuesdays, they used to have the chicken and broccoli pasta with cheddar cheese on top of it. And to this day, if we go to Ruby Tuesdays, we still have them put cheddar cheese on top of it. When when we're at home and we make chicken Alfredo, we put cheddar cheese on top of it because of that. Like, so I totally get this isn't the way it used to be type thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I haven't been to, well, I don't think they don't have any up here in Oregon, but and when I lived in Austin, the ex and I, we would go to like raves, and because it was the 90s and we were in our 20s and that's what you do. And you know, like there are things you do at raves that you end up not sleeping for days. Yeah, it was the 90s. We did stuff. But about the time you were like almost ready to come down from doing stuff you would do at raves, it was about the time Ruby Tuesdays would open, and like there's nothing better right before you crash after like a rave, and all the things you do at raves. Then one of their cheeseburgers and those big steak fries, like. Because you would there was always the one fry that was a little too overdone, but not quite overdone. And it was like it was almost burnt, but not quite. It was like that bit of almost burnt and like saltiness. It was perfect. Like
right
after the stuff you do at Rage right before you crash the next day. You can still hear the beat in your head as you're having that cheeseburger. Man, I'm tired.
Yeah, I was never a rave person. I was definitely one to go out and drink till whatever time and then go to the diner at 2, 3 in the morning and all that good stuff. And eat food that like you didn't want when you were sober. So I'm not sure why we're getting this when we're drunk, but whatever. No.
Anytime I go to Texas, I have to for old time's sake, go to a Whataburger because that's nothing says the bar just closed. It's almost it's after 2 a.m. The bar's closed and I need food, like a couple Whataburger cheeseburgers because sober they're not great, but when you're sort of trying to sober up a little bit on your way home after the bar, Whataburger is perfect.
I don't think I've ever heard of them, so I'll have to look at that because I'm sure Justin and I will be partaking and drinking. We have found so apparently we're going to Austin, and we're there for like 4 or 5 days, and then we drive down to San Antonio, and we're there for the rest of the time, and then we drive back to fly out.
When you're in Austin, also look for Chewy's Tex-Mex. That's my favorite Tex-Mex there.
But we when we're in San Antonio, apparently we're staying in Market Square, which is apparently like the San Antonio version of Bourbon Street, which is like, oh well, great. We can drink and stumble back to the room. This sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, that Market Street has sort of become that. I haven't, I'm not huge on, like I only went to San Antonio a couple times and it was usually for Blockbuster training stuff. So, and then I was down there a little bit when I was an extra for Miss Congeniality because they filmed some of the stuff down there.
Gotcha. See, we went there. See, I've been there. Okay. This will be, I think, my 5th or 6th time. Jess and I went there for our honeymoon. Because that's the farthest out she'd been. She had never been to Texas before.
Yeah.
And having been born in Texas, I've been to Texas quite a few times. But I'd never been to San Antonio until like the 90s or whatever. And
good morning.
So I went quite a few times there, and it was a lot of fun. I love the river walk. And it's one of those things that whenever people are like, I'm looking for someplace different to go, I'm like, go to San Antonio. You'll love it. And like every person I've said that to who has actually gone is like, oh my God, you're absolutely right. This is so cool. I'm like, the river walk especially If you go some places and you get the postcard, it doesn't look like the postcard. You go to the Riverwalk and it looks like the postcard. It's exactly how it looks.
Just
And
to
I love
address
it.
this really quick, Terrence, yes, it was one of the Carls.
The Carls.
Yeah, like if you have you ever heard me like God? Oh, I won't say that. We're too early for using the Lord's, especially on Sunday. I'm not going to use the Lord's name in vain on the internet. I'll save that for offline.
Shit.
He and I have an understanding. He and I have an understanding. Anyway, if you ever heard me sort of mention my exes, I just refer to them as the Carls. But Carl has also become shorthand for like, God, stop being such a Carl.
Got it.
And you know the type. You run into them, I'm sure, a lot in Masters of the Universe Facebook groups. Because I'm in a lot of those groups, and there's a reason I don't say anything. Because the last thing I need is more MOTU Carls. Anyway.
I will say most people I have found in this community are great. There are a couple. There's always a couple. There are less people like that in this community than there is in the DIY community.
Yeah.
And there wasn't that many in there. But it's still nowhere near as bad as the comic book community, who everyone is angry there. And it's like, okay, well, I just don't feel like listening to this anymore. Like, can you just let me know when the movie's coming out? Because, like, I really don't care.
Yeah, there's only one comic book channel I watch at all. It's Casually Comics. Her name is Sasha. She's in Canada. And she actually likes comic books. There's that. She reads old comic books, new comic books, and she talks about them. And even when it's like...
She used to be on Top 10 Nerd.
Yeah, even when it's on sort of a bad comic book, she still tries to find something she likes. And when she does discuss what she doesn't like, she's constructive about it. It's not negative. It's not... I enjoy watching her because she actually... You can tell she loves comics. She still loves comics. And she's not just doing it because she has a comic book YouTube channel.
Yeah. I like hers. I also like Comic Storian. I like now I can't think of the name. Starts with a V. Oh my gosh. Valiant? No. Is it Valiant? Oh my god. I can't even get on my phone because we're filming with it. What's it called? With Eris. I can see it. I just can't. Oh my god. I'm probably it probably is that, but
there's a I started watching Baxter versus comic stuff, and that's pretty good. I've only watched, I think, his Star Wars stuff so far, because I am a Star Wars girl. That's where most of the nerdery actually began. It was all about Peter Pan and Charlie's Angels, and then Star Wars came out. And once you go Leia, there's no going back. It was just like her first real scene, she's putting secret plans in a droid, and then she's shooting space Nazis. It's like, yes, this is exactly what my... Let's see, 3. Yeah, I would have been like 2 or 3. So like, this is exactly what my toddler self needs.
I love Star Wars. I did not get into Star Wars until the mid-90s. Probably when they started getting re-released, because you figure, again, I was born in 82.
Yeah, you were right.
They had one more movie come out, and that was it. My best friend, he was a huge Star Wars fan and was always trying to get me to watch them. And finally I did. And as a teenager, I'm like, this is a little corny, dude. Like, and it totally is, but in all the best ways. Like, and it's one of those things that you have to kind of like take it as it is and realize that they get better as you go. Like,
well, not only that, but it's just like that was the whole...
Once you understand that it's not just one thing, it's a whole arc, and it's like, okay, nope, I totally get this. This makes sense. I'm cool with this. Okay.
Well, not only that, it's supposed to be a little corny. Like,
you
know, George Lucas was 100% sort of paying homage to all of those old serials that he loved, and Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon, and it came out of, like people say this, but, if you're not, and technically I'm barely old enough to remember sort of the context, but, it was a couple years post Vietnam. The 70s were brown, and Star Wars was like color. Like it was like
Yeah.
getting color TV. Just, like if there had not been Star Wars, or if I had not gotten, my parents hadn't taken me to see it 7 times and bought me all the toys, I would not be sitting here on the internet right now with you coloring Shira. Because that's really where like the big nerd thing happened for me. Star Wars opened my brain. And my dad, I recently bought a copy. He had I should figure out a way to make a video about that, because it's a big part of sort of my nerd story. But he had a book, Hildebrandt Brothers, like their art book, that they released right after they did the Star Wars poster, because that sort of brought them to another level. Because it had their Star Wars painting at the very end of the book. I would sit there and look at all their art, and they had all this Lord of the Rings stuff. So when the Lord of the Rings cartoon came out, I wanted to go see that because I knew what that was because of the Star Wars book.
Right.
When The Hobbit would come on TV, I was into the idea of watching it because, again, they'd done all this Tolkien art. So I was familiar with it because of their art. So, like, most of my nerdery is because of Star Wars, but also because, the nerd culture that really embraced Star Wars sort of getting their moment to do art. And, if the Hildebrandt brothers hadn't have done that one poster, and then my dad bought that book, because he liked their art, of course. He liked all that sci-fi stuff. And if he hadn't have bought that book with the Star Wars painting in it, I would have never spent hours poring over. And like they do other art other than fantasy stuff. And then so like that was also one of the reasons I started doing any sort of art. I would take a piece of paper and just basically trace their stuff over and over. And then my dad would bring home Wonder Woman and Supergirl comics from his job at 7-Eleven, and I would trace that. Jose Delbelo, from old Wonder Woman artist, died last week, I think. And that was a gut punch because literally one of the covers of Wonder Woman he did was what I would sit there with paper and trace so that I could learn how to draw Wonder Woman. So all of my heroes are living.
I totally understand, because it's funny, for years after probably the 90s, when the new adventures of He-Man went away because no one liked it. I got into, I did my Ninja Turtle phase and I did my Thundercats phase in the 80s and stuff like that. But I kind of gravitated more towards comics, and the 89 Batman and Batman Returns and the animated series kind of helped kick me into all that stuff. And I stayed hardcore in the comics until probably 6 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
I was still reading, multiple titles every week, buying, multiple books every month, all that. And I kept telling everyone, I'm like, oh, well, no, my first comic was this Legends of the Dark Knight #7. I remember getting it and blah, blah, until I don't remember what it was, but it was, I do know what it was. I was watching I Like to Make Stuff, another YouTube channel, and he made He-Man's shield.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about He-Man in years. Like, I watched the 2000X series, and it was fine. It was, I liked it. But again, I was in my 20s or whatever, and I was like, this is kind of kid stuff. I'll watch it, but blah, blah. And I was more worried what people thought and stuff like that. So, I don't want to watch this for kids. Until, I started watching it and was like, and then I found Pixel Dan, and then I found all that stuff. And I'm like, wait, I missed classics. I didn't even know about classics until literally they ended the line. and I was like, oh my god, I would have loved these. Like, but again, I was like, I didn't realize it was okay to like
Yeah.
the action figure still, even though every time I went to the store, like I walked down the toy aisle. Every time I went to Walmart or Target, or I, if I went to a mall and it had a Toys R
Mhm.
Us, I still walked in, even though I didn't buy anything. And like I had, you know, a couple action figures that kind of sat on the bookshelf in the apartment and stuff like that. And like my wife didn't care. She's a nerd too. Like she
Right.
likes all the same stuff. Like she didn't necessarily like she's a little younger than I am, so she didn't really grow up with He-Man, but like she knew Rainbow Bright and
Yeah.
uh My Little Pony and that stuff, and she knew Star Wars because of her dad and all that stuff. And so like it's not like she didn't allow me to do it. She was all for it. And I think it was right before the pandemic when Origins started coming back out. I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm 5 again. Because
Yeah.
you had the end caps with all the new Origins figures, and you had He-Man and Skeletor and Evil Lyn, and or that first wave just was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And at the same time, you're getting the new uh Ninja Turtles, you were getting the new Ghostbusters, you were getting the new GI Joes. And so it literally felt like the 80s had regurgitated itself into 2019, and I loved it. But at the same time, it was like, well, no, I don't need this. Like, not thinking like it's okay to have this just to have it.
Right.
Until I'd gotten surgery on my arm in 2001, 2002, something like that. I tore
Yeah.
my bicep, and I
Oh,
was still making YouTube videos, and I had to like do it on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, and I was trying to figure out stuff to make that I could batch out a bunch of videos so that I
right.
could take weeks or 2 months or 3 months or whatever it was to heal. And one of them was like, I kind of want to make a custom action figure.
Yeah.
And so I made one, and it was I talked about this last night. It was a Nightwing out of old Superpowers Hal Jordan, and
Yeah. I
people really
watched
liked
that.
it. And I was like, you know what? I kind of want a battle armor faker because I always liked the battle armor characters, and they're re-releasing them. And so I made
Yeah.
that, and people like just ate it up and loved it. And I was like, well, this was super easy, and like I can do this.
Yeah.
This doesn't require lifting anything. Like an action figure doesn't weigh anything. I can do this while I'm still healing. And
Yeah.
so then I like took like 3 weeks, and that's when I came up with the phony character because I had all these extra parts from making
Mhm.
uh,
Very good.
the battle armor faker. And then, of course, now looking back, I was like, oh well, it's way easier to use Zodak than try to paint Skeletor flesh color.
Yeah.
So now that's what I do when I need to make one. But that's how that happened. And then like I was like, you know what? I could send one of these to like Toy Ploy and Pixel Dan because they're the ones who are kind of getting me back into this. And I
Yeah.
sent one to Toy Ploy, and he shared it on his channel. I got like this influx of viewers and subscribers. And I'm like, okay, guess that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And kind of went from there.
Yeah. Well,
Years.
because I've got the girl action figure, the ladies aisle, and I buy every Tila and Evil Lyn.
Mm-hmm.
So when they announced Origins, I was like, well, I'm just gonna get those. And then of course I finally got them because none of our Walmarts had them or kept them, and they'd be out of stock by the time I was able to get there. So when they had Amazon, I got. Yeah, and that was when they were still like $14.99, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I went on, and they all popped up. Oh, these, like you've purchased MOTU in the past. So I was like, okay, well, there's Tila and Evil Lyn. I'm like, they're only $14.99. I'm like, let me just get all of Wave 1 and call it good. And the thing is, we technically had all of them, but my brother was the one who had most of them.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even, I saw He-Man that first time. if you go and watch my Tila coloring video where I do the card art, I talk about this. So for anyone that, and for those watching who did watch that video, yes, you're gonna hear this shit again. Well, not the origins part of it, but my brother had all of the original figures, so I never technically had Beastman myself. It was his figure, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never had Man at Arms because that was his figure. I never actually had He-Man or Skeletor. I think Terraclaw Skeletor was the first Skeletor I got, and I think Thunder Punch He-Man was the first He-Man I got. You know, because my brother always got those.
Yep.
Which was fine. I mean, but it was, I got that first batch, and He-Man and Skeletor were the last two to show up. Those, of course, were like on back order or whatever. So that first box, and they didn't all come, and you know, I ordered them all at the same time, but it's Amazon, so it's like they all came from different places.
Right.
And Beastman was the first one who actually showed up, who was the one I was least enthusiastic about, right? But he showed up, and I opened him, and I got that smell of the plastic. Which, even though they're not the same plastic, it still was close enough, and just
it still
sort of
triggers that memory.
The card looked the same. His accessories, he just had better articulation, and I know MOTU
better articulation, better artwork. Yeah.
The colors were bright and vibrant, like he looked like the 80s toy, but better. And I know a lot of MOTU fans hate when I say stuff like this, but one of the things I disliked about the vintage MOTU line was the articulation. I hated it. It always looked like they were about to take a dump. You know, and like a lot of the articulation stuff I didn't. And people are like, but you liked vintage Star Wars. It's like, but they looked better despite the lack of articulation. They were very pleasant to look at. MOTU, like,
they were very bright and stuff like that, even though they had limited articulation, where MOTU was a little darker. They had darker colors. They had darker characters. Like they had the character that, like, you know, they were, you know, sprayed acid. They, you know, chopped your head off. They punched you. They did this, you know. Star Wars was a little more civilized.
Yeah, you know, like the figures just felt clunky. They were, you know, more rough and tumble toys, MOTU. Like it was clear that, you know, these were toys designed in a way where you could sort of beat them up a little. You know, my brother and his friends would like smash them. You do that thing where you smash the toys against each other. But then, you know, I saw Tila and Zodak, and I'm like, okay, I'm in. Especially Tila. She was so cool. And then when She-Ra came out, it was over. It was over. I'm like, I'm into whatever this all is. I'm in. But I got that head with Beastman.
Oh yeah. I learned what decapitated meant at a very young age because I had a habit of leaving them in the yard, and Mom would mow over them, and of course they had the soft plastic heads, and so like it was gone, like it was done. And so I learned what that meant very young. But like, yeah, like that's what I didn't realize is that I forgot that all those came with the mini comics, and that I had MOTU comic books and stuff like that. So it's like, oh my god, like these were my first comics. Like this is why I love comic books. It's MOTU.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so that Beastman though is what sold me on. Just I just had him, and it's like the nostalgia was right, but he was also, and I'm like finally appreciating the character, and I'm like I'm all in. And that was when I went on Big Bad Toys, and I had gotten the PowerCon because I get all the She-Ra stuff. And I got, you know, so I had I don't think PowerCon She-Ra was here yet, maybe because she was delayed. I think she came after all the others, but I'd already ordered her through Big Bad Toy Store. But it was just, but it was Beastman that sold me because he was just the right everything. And, you know, it was still, you know, when I got them, we were in lockdown, I think, a little bit longer than some areas. So we were still mostly locked down, and I was indoors, and, you know, Matt had to, because he was working a job where he was considered essential at the time. So, you know, he was leaving. It was me. It was the cats. There were a lot of hours alone. You know, it's weird because we're all really connected because of the internet now. And there are a lot of ways that you know, like watch parties through certain platforms and stuff that I still do. But, you know,
Mhm.
it's also mixed in with actually going out. But there were a lot of purchasing decisions I made during the pandemic that were very nostalgia based. Still are, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
I'm okay with that. So,
Well, you fair. I hit 40 in 2022, so like I was
yeah,
right at that. Like,
right at that
okay,
age.
midlife crisis. Like, and like apparently my midlife crisis was toys, and so just as like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'd rather you do this than like a sports car or something like that because we
Sports
can't afford
car
that
and
shit.
hookers. Yeah.
Right. So in terms of midlife crises, I think she lucked out with me.
Yeah, mine is, I don't know what my midlife crisis was. I was too busy having a messy. My mom passed right before I turned 40. So
Mm,
that sort of was it, you know, so like any 40 midlife crisis I would have had was circumvented by it's a weird thing when you're, you know, like I forget if you've mentioned if your mom is passed or not.
no,
Um,
she's alive.
so
We actually had to go through a bunch of hospital things with her before the first of the year this year,
I
but
thought
she
that
is
was what you had said,
luckily
but I
doing pretty
couldn't
good.
remember. Okay. So anyway, there's the, you know, like in this, your mileage may vary. Hopefully you don't find out for decades.
Oh
But
yeah,
when
absolutely.
my mom passed, there was this weird feeling. 'Cause, you know, like the only reason any of us are here is because somebody squeezed us out, right?
Oh yeah.
You know, like, um, but
No
you
matter
know,
how
you're
you want to cut
tethered,
it, that
yeah,
is the
right.
case.
And you were tethered to this person for like 9 months by an umbilical cord, right? So there's
Hmm.
that connection. We got no, and you know, people who have really bad relationships with their moms often, you
Yep.
know, have a harder time in life because that's the person who brought you into this world. Um, so I sort of had at that point, you know, I won't call it an identity crisis, but you know, like, so my midlife crisis though was really mixed up with the morning of it. So it went a lot differently than it probably would have otherwise.
Yeah.
'Cause it was more like, oh, time is so short. It wasn't like a lot of people hit a midlife crisis and it's like, what have I done with my life? I've wasted it. I'm gonna buy a sports car and hookers, or you know, like I'm gonna get a Karen cut and take Pilates and spin class, and you know, leave my husband of 30 years and marry my Pilates instructor Rob with two B's. Um, so it wasn't like that for me. But you know, there was some assessment. There were people that were in my life at that phase that are completely not in my life because it just they no longer suited me, and
Hmm.
it's, you know, because toys have always been there. Like I've, you know, pretty much since my first real adult toy collecting was when Batman Returns came out. Seeing that
Yep.
Catwoman on a shelf and realizing she perfectly blended with, she was the same scale as superpowers because they
Yep.
still had superpowers. They were part of my comic book display.
Yep.
You know, I put those all out, and I had stolen a few of my brother's Batman figures, and then the Batman animated series figures came out, and I got a couple. My mom stole my Scarecrow though to put up on her Halloween display, bitch. Anyway, I love you, mom. R.I.P. Bozo. Um, but yeah, so yeah,
Yep.
40. I didn't have the same sort of crisis some people did. I had a, oh my god, I'm an orphan. Sorry, dad. I love you, but it's different with dads. So
I I've been lucky that I've had I still have a very great group of friends that I've been friends with for
yeah,
25, 30 plus years. Unfortunately, right before the pandemic, my oldest friend died. He lived with
oh
us,
no,
and like I found him dead. And
oh
not to
no,
you know uh, uh, bring everything down, but that kind of hit me kind of hard. But luckily, like I have a good support team and family and stuff like that who also knew Noah and was also close with Noah. So it was like I wasn't on my own, like left my own devices grieving. You know what I mean? I had, people to, celebrate and, remember with and stuff like that. But, even this stuff, like I have like one or two friends in real life that like do toy stuff, but most of them are just like, what? Actually, I just
Yeah.
found out my goddaughter is apparently becoming interested in Batman action figures, and I'm like,
Oh,
oh, it's on
nice.
like Donkey Kong now. I was
Yeah.
just telling Jess about this the
Yeah.
other day when we were at Walmart, and I'm like, oh, we can get this, and we can get this, and we can do this,
Yeah.
and we can do this, and these, and these, and these are the same size, so we'll do these too. And like, nope, she's gonna be an action figure kid. Nope, I already know
Excellent.
it.
Gotta get him young.
Yep. And it's
When
funny
you
because
think
her
about
dad, who is, I've known him for going on 30 years, but I just found out recently, like he was not an action figure kid. He did not have action figures. And I'm like, what? What? He's a sports guy. He's more into sports. His dad's more into sports, so that's what he was into. And I'm like, okay, well that's
yeah,
fine, but like your
I
kid
guess we can
likes
still be
action
friends.
figures. So guess what? Uncle Cory will take care of
Yeah.
it.
You picked the right godfather, people.
Right? So yeah, me and Jess don't have any kids, so we kind of spoil her. And my sister-in-law Danielle has a child on the way, and so we're
Yeah.
gonna be spoiling him. And my nephew Gabe, and like so, yeah,
Nice.
we spoil the nieces and nephews, and yeah.
I'm also devoid of children of my own, and it's best for everyone because I would not want it.
my
It would be
my
like
my
mommy dearest.
yeah, my friend Stephanie, she has a older son now. Uh, he's gonna be 17 this year.
Oh my god.
Um, yeah, so like, and I've gotten him quite a few things throughout his life, but he's also a sports kid. So like, I would get him action figures, but he very for a very short window of time was interested in that stuff. But yeah, it's funny.
My niece recently had her first child, and that makes me a great aunt, right? And I was just like, I don't feel like I've been a very good aunt, so but thanks for this default
Right.
reward universe. By default, I'm now a great aunt, and I'm glad somebody thinks so because I've quite often felt like yeah, they also live, you know, they still live in the South, and I do not, and I don't travel home often. Last time I went home was for my mom's funeral. No, it was to help my dad pack up some of my mom's stuff. So, and that
Right.
was when I got most of the vintage Princess of Power collection that I still had there. And so,
I
but
do not know what happened to any of my vintage stuff. Well, that's not true. I know some of it I got rid of. I sold and stuff like that because I'd gotten older and I was like, these are for kids and
yeah,
my stupidity. And I'm sure I still have something somewhere, but it's probably in the attic. I just haven't been up to the attic to really like look uh, in a while. But I mean, I was definitely like you talked about. Your brother had all of the MOTU stuff. Like I had all of
yeah,
it. Or let me rephrase that. I thought I had all of it, but like I don't remember like Scare Glow. I don't remember Clamp Champ.
yeah.
Uh, but the Randor. I had the King Randor. I had the Ninjor. That I think were the
Yeah,
same way.
yeah, we had
So
all of those because we went to the KB toy store after we went and watched the movie, and they had like everything. We got
mhm.
it was right before Christmas though, so we got them, and my mom was like, "Look, all of these things that you'll get on Christmas." And then of course we got those. It was the same year we got Eternia, so
Gotcha. And like you know what, I might have had them, but like it might have also been like you figure at that point there was what 83 figures or 84
something
figures or
like
something
that.
like that. Like to have them all the vehicles and all the play sets and
Yeah,
you know the play the role play stuff and all that. Well, that's a lot. You know what I mean?
mhm,
So like if I did have it, it was probably just lost in the mix.
yeah,
And like nothing against anyone, but like I didn't probably really connect with the black guy with the clamp. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, not that there's anything wrong with them. It's just like there's no universe where I'm going to see myself in that. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
But,
where
it's
like
a good argument
he
for
is
why
out there
we
for
need
some people, and I'm absolutely
him.
glad he is. But like, it's just not me, and that's totally fine. You know?
Well, there's nothing wrong with it. But that's why we need those characters, is so the kids
Oh,
do have
absolutely.
that to connect to. So, but we had all of the we didn't get a lot of vehicles because vehicles took up more space. Even though my mom was adamant, I think again, as I've said in the past, it was partly because of her dollhouse. She loved dolls and
Yeah.
dollhouses herself. So I think the play sets appealed to that because it was like a dollhouse. But for MOTU,
Oh
we
yeah.
had the Road Ripper, Bashosaurus,
Mm-hmm.
Spidor. No, not Spidor. Roton and I'm trying to think. I think those were actually. We had the horses. We had like Stridor and Night Stalker, Battle
See,
Cat.
I
Like we
always
had all the
remember it being
counts.
Nightmare. I don't know why, but in my head it has always been Nightmare, not
Yeah,
Night Stalker.
That was his original concept name was Nightmare, and then they changed it at some point.
Maybe that's what
So
it is. But like, it just seems like Nightmare is a better name. It's a better pun. Like, it,
yeah, but it also probably would have been harder to trademark that.
maybe, and that's
And
probably what
that's
it
and
was.
also, yeah, I mean that's one of the things that about all of this. A lot of them had different names, and then marketing would change it based on what was easier to market, and
Yeah,
then what would be easier to get trademarked, and like there are all these different. Like Buzz Off was Bug Off at one point, and um, like even in Star Wars they would do that. Like Darth Vader's the Star Destroyer playset was originally it's the executor is I think the actual name of it. And people were
mm,
like, I think at Kenner were like, I think that's a little intense for a kid's toy. So let's just
oh
call
yeah.
it Darth Vader's Star Destroyer. You know, it's
Well, that's
the
also
same.
like uh, Jitsu in the animated series was
Chopper.
Chopper or whatever, and it's like, okay, well, like he's already got a toy. It's a little late to change it now, but it wasn't that they changed it. It was that they changed it that way. I think they changed it the other way, where he
Yeah,
was
he was
originally, I think, supposed to be.
yeah, he was originally Chopper, and then they changed it. I think they realized what would happen, like say in Rhode Island and parts of New England, that he would become Chopper.
Chopper,
Chopper. So yeah, I think
and
I think
overseas
it
he'd
was
be
that.
Chopper. Get to the chopper.
Well, and also they probably were like, we could use Chopper for when we reuse this arm and put an axe on the end of it. We can make that character Chopper.
Right.
Which why they never did that, I'll never know.
Well, thinking that
Really
if you
quick,
go to the like art book or whatever, I think that they were going to do something like that, but then I think the line ended and like, yeah.
right?
Well, when I say it, I genuinely mean no offense and nothing against
Right.
you. It's just, but like, I don't want to, like, I know I'm going to offend people. I don't ever mean to, but like, some people also just get offended by like people breathing.
Right. No, it's a little different. It's not like you went on a diatribe about how we don't need Clamp Champ. You just were honest. Like,
Oh, no, no, no. I
I
totally
don't
think
even.
all the characters are there for a reason. And like, you know, somebody's He-Man is somebody's Clamp Champ, or somebody probably really did connect with Scareglow
Well,
or
and oh yeah,
Orko or
Scareglow. All of those later characters have a pretty solid fan base. Because for some people that was the beginning of it for them.
yeah.
I mean, honestly, Mattel only did Clamp Champ after Sunman and the Rulers of the Sun because they were losing sales. They never talk
Right.
about that, but if you look at when Wyatt Easton released
There's a video
Sunman
for you.
toys, I thought about doing that, but I would want to talk to her. But because Mattel now is licensing the characters, I also don't I don't want to ask her about that because like she's, you know, like it's pretty. I think we can all admit having Mattel come and license your characters to make toys is a lot easier than trying to get your toys made yourself.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so I'm gonna.
But it also probably bought them a lot of fanfare too, because it's like,
Oh
hey,
yeah.
this was there was a lot of kids out there, I'm sure, that was their He-Man. That
Well,
was
I was
their.
always aware of them because one, I would see them in the store all the time. You know, because
Oh,
they
see, I
were
didn't
at.
know about them until they
Yeah, I
came out in
always.
Origin.
It's funny because you know, like when those came out, people were like, "Oh, what is this garbage?" And I'm like, literally, I wanted these toys. Two, whenever everyone was making fun of Digitino, my feelings got hurt because Digitino was the one I wanted the most out of all of those because he had that glow in the dark thing. And I would look.
Yeah.
They had them at Kmart and at the KMB Drugs. That was right by the hospital where all of our appointments were. And I would go in there to like we'd get comic books and stuff there, you know, so that we'd have something in the waiting rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Because you would sometimes go to the at the time my dad had severely broken his leg, like where bones are poking out, breaking, and so we would be there for while they had to, you know, like adjust all the, you know, he had like the big frame around it.
Mm-hmm.
So we would spend hours, and you know, at the time, it wasn't the cheapest place to buy action figures as well. So they would have been spendy, you know. Get a couple
Yeah.
75-cent comic books, kid, so that you can occupy yourself. We can't afford the $5.99 Digitino today.
Right.
Oh my God, the resentment I carried for decades over that Digitino. So to finally get him in Origins, because those characters are not in it. Those are spendy figures to get those vintage in any
Oh yeah.
condition. Even like played with, you know, like trash condition, those are spendy. So
Well, it's
I was
funny
happy.
seeing like even going to like PowerCon and stuff like that, and seeing like the ones the knockoffs you would get from like the dollar store or the
Yeah,
drugstore or whatever. That like we all had them. There was
yeah.
they were the villains. They were the henchmen. They were
Those
the
are the ones your mom bought because she need, you know, to help you fill it out because you needed some, or your grandparents would buy them thinking they were masters of the universe.
right.
Like we had, you know, my brother had one. I think I forget what they call them. I've seen them a couple times, but it was a skeleton and he was clear and he had like that, like oil and the glitter inside of him, and you could shake them and the
Oh
glitter
yeah.
would swirl. Forget what that's
And like
called.
I
I'm sure.
remember the ones that they looked like wrestlers or whatever, but they were like in the He-Man stance or whatever.
Yeah,
And you know, like I said, of course we had them all, but like you go to PowerCon and it's like here's the whatever they were called line, the knockoff MOTU brand, and it's like, oh my god, some of these are more expensive now than the MOTU ones
actual.
are now, because there was 5 million of the MOTU ones made and 5,000 or 50,000 of the knockoff one made. So it's just rare now.
Yeah. And it's harder to find them in good condition because, you know, a
Yep.
lot of them weren't played with, but because they were made of a much cheaper plastic, they
Mm-hmm.
don't stand the test of time very well. So,
No.
but yeah, so well, there you go. Trying to get effects, and I keep not being happy with. I did like yellow under the boots and then red over them, hoping I would get more of a sort of sheen, and it didn't quite work. But that's fine. All right, I'm
just working on shading now.
I'm going to grab a different set of Black Widows. We're going to move to the Cobra set because I am out of what I need. Need to do some skin tones, basically. Let's see if this is my skin tone box. I don't think this one has skin tones in it. That's fine. It does have chestnut, so I can work on. I will work on the gold. I can get that gold color to her armor and bracers. But yeah, so. Oh wow, you're doing really good with those crayons.
I'm trying.
It looks good on camera, so I don't whatever. If the reality doesn't quite match up, it looks really good from here.
I mean, it doesn't look horrible. It's just mainly it's not what I'm used to, and so
We'll
I'm
throw it on.
used to. Yeah, I might have to grab a set of pens and
Throw it
darken
on.
up some of these lines.
Oh yeah, Oh yeah, you could do probably a lot if you went in with some fine line or some regular. Oh, I still have the Mobius trash banner up. We'll go ahead
Yeah,
and
so
take that.
I just need to go in and darken up some of the details, and I think it'll pop a little more. It's just, yeah, I just haven't.
Yeah, exactly. I need to get Kenzo on here to color with me at some point. He also though wants to do sort of a custom show where I would go like we would paint custom stuff together. So
Oh, that'd be cool.
yeah.
I'm sure he will. Yeah, there he is. Cobra.
Oh yeah. Hello, Brick. Lovely to see you today. And for those in chat, Brick has his Sunday stream in a bit, and I believe, am I remembering correctly, Brick, that your brother will be on there, and you guys are going to talk not only his job as in a, what do they call the Disney people? The Imagineers?
Imagineers.
Yeah, that.
Oh, his brother's an Imagineer? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And of course, toys. And his brother is a big part of why Brick is in toys. So, well, he's into them. So, definitely, if you don't have that on your afternoon, make it so. And then I think he and Adam are talking about some before that. I think they have a, I don't know if it's live or a pre-record, but there's something on their on Adam's channel, highly articulated, about some toy line about monkeys. I think it's like a muck or AWOC or Animal Warriors of like Platoon. I don't know, something like that.
Huh.
So yeah, check it out. Check it out. And also Alpha Magnus. While I'm thinking about it, I liked your video, but I don't think I've commented on it yet. So I'll get to that after the stream.
I am horrible about commenting. I am so horrible about commenting. I try to like as much as I can, but the problem is also that most of the stuff I watch from my account in the bedroom. And so like on the TV, you can't really comment, but you can like. Yeah. And so I try to at least do that. And then it's like, oh, well, I'll go back and do it later. No, I won't. I forget. It's not because I mean.
Yeah, no, I've got a lot of people who also watch on TV. So.
But apparently that helps too, because that's like a different rating thing for YouTube or whatever. Like how many people are actually watching on a TV versus a computer versus a smartphone versus a tablet or whatever.
And it's also harder to skip commercials on a TV, so YouTube loves that.
Well, no, I mean, it's not. I don't think it's harder. I think it's actually easier, but that's just my opinion. I mean, but
all I know is they slipped. They tried to slip a 30-minute. They tried to slip a 30-minute commercial in on me yesterday on a 20-minute video. YouTube.
Now, I will say that if you're not paying attention, it is easier for them to get away with playing one, but you can easily skip it. You just have to be like actively watching it. If you're not actively watching it, like, yeah, there's times where a 30-minute video or a 40-minute video has turned into an hour and a half because of 5 commercials that were on there that I just didn't skip because I was cleaning or I was drawing or reading or listening to music or whatever, and that was just on in the background.
They tend to slide those in however they know these things. They know right when whenever I'm doing the Quran dash where I use the water, like it's like right when I put the water and you only have a little ways before the water will start drying and then you can't work, and if you put too much water on the paper I use it starts falling apart. So it's like it always seems like they slide that 30-minute commercial in right when I have like seconds to like get it going, and it's just like,
what kind of paper is that?
I use a couple different. Most of them are this one is Spring Hill.
That sounds like Yupa paper.
cards. It's card stock. It's a card stock.
Okay.
For those, well, and for yourself, if you go to the description of the video after it posts, after the live stream, and there's links to all the stuff that I use. And as an Amazon affiliate, I get a small commission anytime you buy anything through any of my links. So, hooray! The shilling is done. And
yeah, I'm really bad about that, but I try to like include links to stuff. But like then it's like I'm including a link to a He-Man that anyone can go on Amazon or Walmart or Big Bad Toy Store or Entertainment Earth or whatever and get. Like you don't have to go to Amazon and use my affiliate link. So like, yeah.
Right. No, I put all of that in there. You know, every little bit helps.
Yep. Let me grab some pens. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. And while he is doing that, let's check in the chat real quick. Did it do? Yep, Imagineer. Excellent. Sweet. Animal Warriors of the, that's what it is. I just don't hear enough about that toy line to know what it is. Super hot. It's like HAWT hot. Yeah, we are. Yeah, both of these are Cory's. Yeah, I've got the. I probably will not get to He-Man today, which I almost predicted because I'm still working on this. And I put the alcohol marker lines down, but I'm gonna go in and clean that up because I didn't. They're sloppy on purpose. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. No, it's. I'm gonna go in with some white color pencils and add some stuff. So.
Yes, Brooke, it's mine. Backgrounds I found online, but the figures and the energy things right. I did.
Sorry, I still had you on. Oh wait, I don't want me on solo. There we go. Exit solo layout. Oh, there we go. Rearrange all that.
There we go.
There we go. Thanks, Brooke. I forgot that I had that set up. So yeah, there we go. I forgot to take Cory off solo. It happens.
I figured you were just trying to put me on the spot, which is fine.
No, it's fine. Yeah, and this one's also Cory. And since you slid in, I think after we discussed this, I'm going to put copies of these up on my community tab after this, and I think Cory will as well. So if anyone wants these to download them, color them, they will be available after the stream. So please do. And just make sure if you color them or do anything with them, you let people know where to find Cory. Because
it'd be the nice thing to do, man.
Right.
If I can, I'll see if I can find. The way I did is I did it in the same program I use to do my thumbnails. So I can kind of do it kind of like you would Photoshop where you have layers. And so the She-Ra and the Dora and the Atom and the He-Man, I have like full drawings of each of them. But then I kind of combined them all to make this so that you have, part of Dora, part She-Ra, part Atom, part He-Man. But I'll see if I can shoot them, the individual ones, over to Allison too, so we can throw them up in case some people might just want a full She-Ra. Some people might want a half and half.
Also, because I'm obviously not going to get to the He-Man today, do you mind if I do the He-Man as one of my shorts and then just tag you in the comments? Excellent.
No, absolutely. Go ahead.
Because, it's not like I don't have a gazillion Masters of the Universe shorts ready to go.
Yeah, I think you need to find some more because I think you're running out.
I know, right? Well, it's funny. I was probably going to post Jitsu tomorrow, Choppa. I probably still will. Because I'm not going to get to... I still have to set the rest of my new office space up. I'm going to exit solo. That's back on there. So I'm going to probably do that. And I've got a ton... Oh, I'm going to stop the presses real quick. Well, no, continue. But I am going to show off a couple of, we'll call them hauls that I've got over the last few weeks. Obviously everyone will see as content. I got this Minty Fresh Glamour Gals coloring book, Kenner, from the Glamour Gals toy line, which was their attempt to turn Barbie into action figures. I may or may not have also bought a really big lot of Glamour Gals last week on eBay. What I got a really good deal that came with the entire Wave 1 figure line, individually carded figure line, as well as the carrying case and the Wave 3 wedding ceremony playset. So anyway, there's that. I also got this Minty Fresh Kenner Care Bears coloring book. So definitely there will be some more Care Bears because this stuff is... The one I have is like late 90s, early 2000s dollar store coloring books. They're fine. Nothing, no shame there. They've done me well. But these are actually... I'm just going to break it open real quick.
I don't know. I'm sure you had them too. But I remember especially from the 80s, add water and paint. The coloring books that had the paint already on it, and you just had to add water. I used to, when my mom used to work in a bar, when we used to live in Ocean City. For anyone who's on the East Coast, Ocean City, Maryland, not New Jersey, but we she was a bartender, and actually at times she was an alcoholic too, but that's a different story. But a lot of times we'd be sitting at the bar, I'd be coloring in one of those books, and I don't know how many times it got dipped in beer instead of water, and so I'm sure a lot of those pages smelt like, an alcoholic did it, because they did. They helped.
Thanks. Yeah. And then my other big find that arrived last week is this vintage 1978 Star Wars coloring book from Canada. So you'll definitely be seeing some of this. There's some good stuff in here. And it's mostly Minty Fresh. I already too short for a stormtrooper. So
yeah, I was gonna try to get her on this time, but maybe if I do this again, I'll have to get Jess to come on with me. She loves coloring.
Yeah, no, I remember when we had talked about it, when I interviewed you, we did sort of the green room afterwards where I talked about having you on here, and you mentioned that maybe she would want to join, and I'm like, yep, that would be cool. So yeah, we'll figure out.
Just, right now, like I said, we're playing on vacation. She's actually in the other room, starting to work on packing and getting laundry done and this and that, blah blah. So
yeah, no, I mean, obviously this was well, you had reached out and said you had some art you were thinking of, and I was like, let's do it. So this is a little bit more ad hoc, but we will definitely plan. And you mentioned what was the other one you mentioned that she liked nerd-wise that wasn't My Little Pony? Rainbow Bright?
I think she liked Care Bears. I think she liked My Little Pony.
Okay. So between Care Bears, I've got a lot of...
She was into a lot of the boys stuff too.
Cool.
But I forget what it was. I mean, she's a Harley Quinn fan. She's got the adult Harley Quinn coloring book somewhere.
Oh, nice. Well, then
and I think she's actually got one of the comic book one. That's what it is, Mad Love. She's got the Mad Love comic book that's done as a coloring book.
Nice.
I don't know where it is, but I know she has it.
I've been looking at that one because I kind of, that's again one of the things I'm wanting to do. Once I finish, I'm calling it season 1 shorts, and I move to season 2. I'm going to mix it up so that there's sort of more storytelling. And one of the things that I'm wanting to do is sort of, I got a 1997 Star Wars coloring book that has a 7-page comic to color with Ewoks, and it's the whole sequence where they get captured by the Ewoks on Endor. That I haven't figured out quite how to make stories work, because it's 7 pages. That's going to be pushing it a little bit for a short, but I'll figure it out. But yeah, so I'm wanting to. So I need to double check and look at the Mad Left thing, because definitely that would be a fun way to expand my shorts horizon
Mm-hmm.
in ways that don't involve me having to go back to the diet doctor. There are other ways to expand your shorts, Alex. And anyway.
Well, I have been liking your like history of your
Yeah.
retrospectives or whatever.
Yeah,
And I
there
do
will be more of
like
those.
it's funny when I hear people how they do theirs versus me, because like literally like I shoot a video and 99% of the time I could have it up, edited, done that afternoon. But I also shoot it that way, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
don't have a script to go off of, you know what I mean? And when I
yeah,
have done stuff that's scripted, it's more so to get uh, everything in my head. And then I just kind of go off the cuff anyway. And so again, it's easier to do. It's easier to edit and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't envy having the whole thing written down and having to like go off of a script, but same time, like I totally understand why you would.
yeah. For a history of, yeah, it's I don't know. That's kind of I think why I have leaned into and why I've been doing sort of the playing with the color and chill thing is because it doesn't require scripting and I can just sort of do the coloring and then edit it together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because that for me is like a lot. It's less work, but it's also more fun. Like that's also sort of what when I first envisioned doing the coloring stuff, what I saw it as is that I would just do coloring videos. I wouldn't really talk. It would just be there for people who need it for sort of the relaxation. But it's also evolved. I've got, and we'll talk after stream because I've got a couple ideas for content that sort of is in my wheelhouse now that I realize now that there's a plan to do history and sort of revisit sort of the stories of the, you know, the quote unquote lost stories of these franchises. So there are a couple of things that I've got planned that I wanted to chat with you about anyway that will be easier in the green room afterwards than it would be on than it is through Instagram messaging or Facebook Messenger or whatever. So
Oh yeah.
I've,
Well,
I
that's one of
got
those things where like also like if need be, I'm not opposed to actually giving you like my phone number, not in a
yeah,
like, hey, let's go get dinner or whatever. Like in a
right.
like,
Yeah,
you
no.
know, we've been friendly for a
Oh
while
yeah,
now.
no.
Like you have my
Collaboration.
phone number, it'd be easier to text me than wait for me to get on an Instagram app.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, we'll figure all of that out because you know it's like Lawrence and I have traded phone
Yeah.
numbers because if you've ever because Lawrence like myself is a talker and don't give him your no just kidding don't give Lawrence your phone number. I'm kidding. He's a nice guy.
Well, that's
Lawrence
the
is a
funny thing. Like, I'm not a phone person. I'm a
I'm not
texter. Like,
either.
I'll text you all day long. I'm not because it's also because I'm hard of hearing, and so
Yeah,
I don't like talking on the phone because of that.
yeah,
Where
no.
Jess will talk on the phone for hours.
Well, see, my day job often requires long hours on the phone. So, like, I
Oh, okay.
often hate it. But I have, now that I've got sort of StreamYard and I've gotten used to being on the internet talking about shit, I'm also as likely to be like, hey, and then send you a StreamYard link so that we can jump
Right.
in like a private room on StreamYard and just hash it out. It was funny. My dad, like, he was like, "Oh, I don't have time to call you." I'm like, "Well, what are you doing?" And he's like, he's like, "I'm just sitting here at the computer." I'm like, "You're on Facebook?" And he was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, just a second." So I FaceTimed him through Facebook, and
Right.
he marveled at the tech, and but also I don't have to have my hand on it. I don't have, like it's just the camera is there. Like I have a friend who calls every so often, and I like stop calling my phone. Like I'm probably filming. Like if you need to talk, message me. And he did, and I through the computer, like I did FaceTime, and I was still sitting here filming stuff because in time lapse, if I pause for 5 seconds to like have a "what are you even thinking" moment. Like,
Right.
you don't see that on the camera. As I shake my fist at him, like, that's the stupidest idea you've ever had, and you've had some dumb ones. I remember your second, third, and fifth girlfriends. That fifth one, oh boy, she was Lady Carl, is what we should call her. Because calling her a
See,
Karen gives her more intelligence points.
most of my friends, we don't really talk on the phone. Like, especially like
Yeah,
my best friend, like he'll call me like if something's going on, but other than that, it's like 2 or 3 line text messages back and forth.
yeah,
And like Jess is great at keeping up with people, like what's going on in people's lives and stuff like that. Like, unless it's the broad strokes, I have no clue. Like, I'm just
mhm,
horrible about it. She'll tell me a lot of times, like, oh, so and so's got such and such, and I'm like, no, what, huh? Okay, is everyone okay? Yeah, okay, great.
right,
And I go on about my day because I figure, if it's an emergency, I'll find out about it. Otherwise, like, I don't care who Becky's dating. I don't care that, like, you know, whatever. And like, that's not to say Jess is a gossiper, because she's not. But
right,
like, she's better at she's more of a people person, I guess, than I
yeah,
am. Like, I don't have a problem with people, but I'm also, again, I'm an only child. I'm used to kind of being in solitary, and like, I
yeah,
can, like, excuse my language, I can fuck off, and like,
right,
I don't need to like connect with anyone like on a regular basis, with the exception of probably her. You know what I mean? Or like my mom or something like that. Like, I don't feel the need to like constantly be like, well, today this happened, and yesterday that happened, and the day before this happened. Like, I don't know.
yeah. No, I was an only child for a couple years, and then I wasn't. But I always sort of wished I was until my 20s. And it took me a while to appreciate my brother. So, but we were also about 6 years apart. I mean, I did appreciate the way that we would like sort of conquer toy lines together. It was really handy that, like, especially for GI Joe, it was a lot easier to convince my mom that that $86 markdown US
Oh yeah.
flag was a great choice for both of us because we both would use it.
The
I mean,
funny thing about
oh, sorry.
no, you're good. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. What were you going to say?
The funny thing about me having Eternia is that my mom has no recollection of buying that for me. And when I
Oh, my God.
found one of the old ads saying that, like, no, apparently this was like an $89 toy, she's
That
like,
was
well, I
sweet.
don't think I would have bought it for you. I'm like, well, you gave it to me on Christmas. I
Yeah,
have the pictures of me opening it on
right.
Christmas morning. And she's like, well, either I bribed you into it, or your dad sent it and it was one of the few gifts he got right.
Oh, nice.
I'm like, okay, got it. So she doesn't remember it either, but
Yeah, I think ours came from like the Sears catalog, probably, because that was where a
ours
lot of the
probably did.
bigger items came from.
That's where a lot of
Also,
mine came from, was not Sears, but J.C. Penney's, because we had a drugstore right by us that you could order from the J.C. Penney's catalog in back in the day, back when I
yeah,
was a kid.
yeah, no, in the small town we
We
lived
didn't
in,
have the newfangled internet
was
technology.
small, and there was a Sears office there, and all it was a counter, and like they had storage, of
Yep.
course. And you could order your stuff through the Sears catalog, and they would deliver. Because
Mm-hmm.
in rural areas, not everyone, even at that point, had a post office box, and some stuff would not, couldn't drive out into the middle of the bayou, for instance. If you bought a tractor through Sears, they would bring the tractor to your house, but they weren't going to bring, my Princess of Power cow, because we couldn't find him at any of the stores. I see pictures now. There's these pictures floating around of some store display of She-Ra figures, and there's a cow. There are like 2 or 3 of them. I'm like, where the F was that store when I was a kid? Because like, I never saw him in stores. And we would have paid like a $2-3 markup to get them through Sears. Anyway. No, we got a lot of stuff at JC, but JCPenney still had the actual toy department, and
Yep.
it was a one-stop shopping at the mall. You went there. There was the styling salon, so you would go get your hair cut. You would go get suede vests in the Young Miss department. Well, I would. Well, I wasn't getting suede vest in the Young Miss department when we were buying toys, but eventually, man, I love that suede vest. Thank you, China Phillips, for turning me on to the concept of a suede vest. You and the Hold On video. I also rocked her haircut for a couple of years. Nothing like a witch.
Like I said, when I grew up, it was in Ocean City, and like it was more of a tourist town, so you didn't have like the mall. You had a mall, but it was more like a touristy shop. Like it had an arcade, it had a card store, it had a grocery store, and a Roses. The Roses is still there. The grocery store's been 5 different things since then. But and then but you didn't have a JCPenney's or a Sears there. You had the catalog store or the catalog department at the back of the drugstore that was connected to the mall. And so you would go there to order everything.
Oh wow. No, we had
But
Sears.
then if you went over to Salisbury, which is more like the quote unquote big city on the Eastern Shore, then you had the mall that had the JCPenney's, they had the Sears, they had the service merchandisers,
we had that too.
The Kmart, the Toys R Us, the KB, all that stuff was over there, but it was like 30 miles away.
Yeah, Sears was so our mall had Montgomery Ward's on one side, JCPenney's on the other, and then there was a regional store that was basically a Dillard's ripoff that was called the White House. And it was always too expensive. I do remember in college they had a crystal margarita set. It was like a pitcher with the glasses, and it was marked down to like $9.99. I got that in college. It was like some Star Wars comic collections from Suncoast and a margarita set. Living the life. And then I stopped at probably Subway on the way home to get a meatball sub.
Right.
And then I would have ordered delivery Chinese that night, and they brought the booze to your door. So that was cool. Thanks for the enabling in college. They didn't even check your ID. Anyway, and they took checks. But Sears was downtown, and it was an older Sears that had like the roof was where the parking was. So that was always exciting. I enjoyed that quite a bit. Until I was old enough to realize if the ceiling gave in, all those cars would come crashing down on us. And then, that was where I got my my Game Boy, and because in college I'm like, I need a Game Boy, even though it was old, because they have a Star Wars game. Let me get this Star Wars game. And that Game Boy Star Wars was not good, but it came with Tetris, and then I had Miss Pac-Man, so I had good games I could play.
There you go.
I wonder if I bet that Game Boy is still in storage. I should find it. See if it'll work. Sell it on eBay.
I have mine. I think I sold mine at a yard sale years ago.
I sold my Sega Genesis at one point. I had the Genesis because they had Gauntlet and a Justice League fighting game with Wonder Woman in it. So that was why I had only 2 games I ever played on Genesis.
Yeah, what was it called? Justice League something. Yeah.
Justice League Extreme or something. I don't know, something like that. Those were my and I would get home from working my shift at Blockbuster. I would have a 2-liter because I drank regular Coke. Because in your 20s you can drink more soda. I would have my 2-liter.
I drink beer and soda. That's all I drink.
And I would sit there, get home at like 1:30, 2 o'clock because it closed at midnight, and be up to like 5 a.m. playing Gauntlet. Valkyrie needs food. And then go to Denny's with my roommate, because it wasn't a house, it was an apartment, and it was college, who was just getting in from like their residency at the hospital. They were becoming a nurse. And we would go to Denny's and get breakfast. And then I would go home, crash for 2 or 3 hours before I had to go back to Blockbuster. Living that life, 20s, 1990, whatever it was. It was like 96, I think. 97, somewhere in there. No, it would have been 96 because 97 was when I left Louisiana and moved to Texas. So, the good old days. Let's see. So service merchandise is where I got my G.I. Joe Scarlet, the second one that I didn't turn into Mon Mothma. I got a bunch of the big GoBots, the Star Wars Micro Collection Hoth Worlds. I got that. I got Star Wars She-Ra there. Jitsu, that's where I got my Jitsu. Bunch of Star Wars figures over the years, and a bunch of Indiana Jones toys in like 95. No, 95. And like 85, 86. And it was like the Streets of Cairo, they came with the Monkey Man, the Map Room, and one other thing. They were all marked down. Let's see. Adam at Highly Articulated, who's going to be talking about the Amok toy line about those monkeys later. Had Sears, the Bay, which is similar to JCPenney, and Woolco. Toys and Wheels in the mall, and then at some point Toys R Us opened. Mike was good.
Yeah, I remember Toys R Us was like a.
He does, but you probably have to get him dinner first, Adam.
Yeah, Toys R Us was a treat. But I remember, back then, it wasn't like it is now. You go to Kmart or Sears or Walmart or Ames or any of them back then, and you had a toy department. You have a toy department now that's like 5 aisles. The toy department then was like 10, and
Kmart had a nice
one was sporting equipment, and everything else was Barbie and action figures, and Nerf. And it's just not as big as it used to be. Not because, and I for years I thought it was because people stopped buying toys, and that wasn't it. It was that, they stopped marketing them the same way. They don't have. We had 30-minute commercials for these toys, and they're like, "Oh, well, we don't want to market to kids." Why? That's called driving the economy.
Right. The only reason I sort of moved online to buy toys was literally I could never find anything locally. The scalpers would buy all the good stuff. Unless you were there right on time. And of course I had a job, in Oregon, in Texas, when I worked at Blockbuster, it was really easy to slide into the Super Walmart at 1:30, 2 a.m. right as they were and I had an arrangement with the stock guy. I had to help him put out figures sometimes.
Our Walmart, when I used to work part-time as a waiter and a bartender, and after I got off work on Monday night, you would go to Walmart at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you'd get the new movies that were coming out on Tuesday. You'd get the new music or whatever. You'd go check out whatever else. And like you said, everything was getting stocked. So you got kind of first dibs on everything. But the pandemic kind of screwed that up. So now nothing's open 24 hours around here anymore. I'm sure they are in some places still, but
none of our stuff is open. And it's just, I don't know. It's so hit or miss when they get new stuff now that And again, I was always missing stuff and having to buy it online anyway. And it was it's just easier to go through online retailers. And I don't know. I know that the various retailers sort of have their reasoning or whatever why, but it's a lot of it is because of stuff they the sort of MOTU Origins thing where it's they over ordered this one wave, with Stratos and the Sorceress, and they're like, well, it obviously doesn't sell. It's you're obviously not paying attention to what happened if you think it doesn't sell. You sold a lot of those. You're just not going to sell this many of them.
Some characters aren't going to do as well as others. It doesn't mean the line's not popular. It means that character's not popular.
Flooded the market.
I think that also they're afraid to and I can only speak to my Walmart. Why my Walmart will not put toys on clearance until they've sat for a year. And it's if you got rid of these, you could get the next wave in and you'd sell them. Like,
Yeah.
but we haven't gotten a new wave, with the exception of Mossman. We haven't gotten a new wave since the Sorceress Stratos
Right. The
do.
debacle.
Like we have not gotten a new one since then. But like you go to other ones, and like I walked into our Target like a week or two ago, and they had a wave one Skeletor,
Mhm.
and I almost bought it, but then I was like, no, this was a $14 figure. They have it for 20. I'll go on
Right.
Big Bad Toy Store.
I've
But
got
like
a big bag.
that's one thing I'm looking forward to when we go to Texas. Is like I've already found 3 toy stores in Austin and 3 in San Antonio that I want to go check out. And of course, Jess is into like crystals and bookstores and stuff like that. So we've been looking for them too, so that it's not just
There
my
used to
stuff.
be a couple. Yeah, there used to be a couple. They're really good. I will see if I can. I mean, provided it's still there. But there used to be a really good store in Austin where we would go and get like incense and crystals and tarot card decks and whatnot.
Oh yeah,
And
she's into all that stuff. She would love it if we had some more. I found they're on my phone and I'm filming the thing, so I can't look it up. But
yeah,
I
no.
found like I think 2 or 3 crystal stores. I think one's actually called like the Crystal Fox, or no, that's the one up here. It's like the Crystal Moon, or I don't know. But
Yeah, I'll see if I can remember what it was because my friend and I would go there a lot and buy a lot of stuff, and then we'd watch The Craft. So it was the '90s. We had our ways, but yeah, I'll see if I can find that because definitely if they're still there, they were pretty good. It was also owned by people. It wasn't like sort of a weird. Sometimes you get weird corporates, like. Well, they don't have them anymore, but there was a time in the '80s where all of my candles came from wicks and sticks in the mall.
Or Yankee.
Yeah, Yankee Candle, or for a while, Bed Bath and Body Work, and I bought a bunch of those gel candles that explode, and
they still have Bed Bath and Body Works. They still have like, and every time we go, if we not every time we go, but whenever ours runs out, there's 1 or 2 that we like. I think it's called black tie and like flannel, and we'll still get them because like I'm not real big into the scented candles, and those are like 2 of the only ones that I really like. And so she's like, well, I gotta take what I can get, and she gets them, and she likes the other ones when I'm not home.
I have to be really careful with scented candles. I've gotten really sensitive to fragrance as I get older, but
like if you like all that, like the crystal and tarot cards and all that stuff, she's actually part of a podcast called Lavender, Sage, and Stardust. Is that right, Jess? Anyway, I think that's it. Lavender, Sage, and Stardust.
I have to check that out.
She's one of the co-hosts on it. But they do all kinds of stuff. They do like the urban legends of different creatures and characters and stuff like that. They also do like what different crystals are for, what different beliefs and stuff like that. I don't know. I secondhand hear it while she's recording or something like that. But yeah, they've been doing it for a couple years now. But like they started after I started the YouTube channel, so I know it hasn't been 5 years yet. But yeah, if anyone's into any of that stuff and you need a place to find out about that stuff, I'm 99% sure it's called Lavender, Sage, and Stardust.
Cool. I'll look it up because I don't have any of that.
Wherever you can find your podcast of choice, I believe they're on there. I know they're on Apple. I know they're on Spotify. I'm pretty sure they're on Amazon and all that crap. So
I'll look them up because I don't have anything right now that I listen to like that. Not on. It's just Like most of my stuff is like toy tube or true crime because you get into a pocket and that's what you get. And so yeah, no, I will definitely. At some point, I will dust the tarot. I mean, like there was a point, the early 2000s where I would make money by doing tarot card readings.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't super good at it, so it's not like I ever made more than like $20 or. Occasionally, you would do that in bars, and guys would buy you extra drinks. So, tell me of my future.
Apparently, people like Jess's readings because she does it not really for money, but she'll do it quite often for people and friends and stuff like that. So, I personally don't really follow or believe in that stuff, but I also at the same time am not one that's like, well, you can't. No, I'm not that person either. Like, I was raised by a strong woman. You don't tell a woman she can't do anything. Like, I'm not that guy. And actually, I'm usually the one telling her, you can do this. You know that, right? She has access to every tool in here. Like, I'm not the one that's like, I'll do that. I'm like, just go do it. Go grab the saw. The saw's right there. The screwdriver's right there. Like, there's the screws. Have fun. Like, actually, when we started this channel, it was supposed to be me and her. And actually, for the first, I don't know, year or whatever, not even 6 months or whatever, it is me and her. And actually, the first video I edited, she edited all the videos until I did the Skeletor costume for Halloween. And she was sick. And so I was kind of on my own. And that was the first one I edited. And I think it was the one before that was the last one she edited.
Nice.
And so then I kind of have taken it over on my own. But then it was easier because I could just do it at work or in the car or, well, not in the car while you're driving, but while she was driving or whatever. You know what I mean? Wherever I was, I could do it in between stuff. This is one of those things where I keep adding detail. And that's kind of like, when are you done? Like, do you keep going? Like, you can always keep adding details. You don't run out of details to add. I mean, eventually, I guess if you add too many, you'll start looking a little messy, but like
that, I'm almost to that point. I just have a few, and it's a little after 2 hours, so it's almost time to wrap up. But I just want to go in and do a few little things and touch it up a little so that this is mostly done on stream. And it's because, again, like I said earlier, like I wanted to do both, but as I get fussier about this, and I'll be doing, it'll show up as a short and I'll tag you in it and it'll do well for both of us.
Somewhere, I don't know where it is. I think it's up there. Somewhere I have a Skeletor painting I did.
To me, you did a video.
Doing the action figures. And if I can find it, I'll shoot it to you because I know sometimes you like taking the color out of stuff and using it too.
No, I would. Shoot it to me, and if I can, because again, the old coloring books are awesome and I love them, but it's also cool to do stuff that is unique and isn't an old coloring book that anyone can have. I've done a couple of, at this point, let's see, counting the Voltron episode, I think I've done and I've got a Witch Hagar that Adam did that I'm going to do a short for. I've got a whole week of Voltron stuff I'm planning for season 2 of shorts, and so I'm going to work her into that. But I've done a couple, and I like.
I'll show you the different layers of this, and so if you want to do like just the Dora, or just the She-Ra, or just the Atom, or just the He-Man, you do that too, and then you have like a week of that too, almost.
And then at the end of it, I can make one short where I edit all of the She-Ra, Adora stuff to get with the completed one together, and then do the fade and stuff. So let's do that. All right, I think no, I lied.
It's one of those things. It's like I think I'm done. No, let me do this. I think I'm done. No, let me do this.
Yeah, right. Well, it's because I'm going in and sort of doing a little bit with the paint, well, the paint pens. So, all right, now I'm done. All right. I was about to say I'm not, but I am. I'll be tinkering with this once. I need to also eat lunch because I'm getting to that point where I
can just start cooking dinner. Or actually, dinner's already cooking. Luckily, because it's in the crock pot. Yeah. But I gotta go help finish.
No worries. All right. So really quick, I'm gonna put both of us. Thank you, Carol, and thank you.
Thank you.
And really quick, yeah. And then there is this.
Yep.
You know, and hey, a boy wants drinks and dinner. Yeah, MOTU didn't do the best that they could have in general. So really quick, I'm gonna put Cory's art on solo so we can get a good look at it. Epic. Also, I'm going to ask you, Cory, if you will take a picture of that, post it on Instagram, tag me on it, and then I'll do a reshare so people can see what it looks like.
Yep.
And then really, I don't know why I keep saying
Yeah, if you send me a picture of yours too, I'll do a whole post.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, I'll send you all the individual files and all that good crap. And
there we go. Oh. Yep. Okay. I don't know why it keeps every time I try to remove you from solo layout. Oh, I see what I did. And there's the Shira. So.
Yeah, right. I feel like the only thing about her is I feel like I didn't do a good job, like incorporating where like you can tell Adam and He-Man are here. It's a little harder to tell with her that there's Shira and Adora.
But you can tell more in the sort of the leg part. But
yeah,
I was gonna do that way, but then I'm like, I just want to do more gold. I'm really bad about wanting to do gold. So, all right, so we'll wrap this up. One, thank you, Alex.
Thank you so much.
Alex is good people. One day I will get Alex on here to color with me. We do buddy colors on Instagram, but one day I'll have Alex on here. Once Alex gets some more content up and he's ready to be on screen, even if it's just hands, Alex, we can do just hands. So I did that with Bud for our pre-record. All right, so we're gonna wrap up because it's been over 2 hours. But Cory, like Lawrence and myself, is a talker, so it happens, and that's nothing wrong with that. So really quick, Cory, where can the people find you?
Well, it's gotten easier since my Instagram and stuff like that got hacked. It's at make_shape_create. It used to be on Instagram, make_shape_create. And I don't have Twitter anymore because it got hacked. It's still there, but it's some chick. So
well, I don't think anyone does Twitter anymore anyway. So we're good.
I know, right? But yeah, Twitter, or not Twitter. Shoot, I can't talk now. Okay. Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube is all at make_shape_create.
Yep. And I've got a link to his channel in the description of this right now. So definitely, if you're not following Cory and subscribe, please go do so. He does amazing work. And he'll be back. Like Cory's my people now. I'm not just a fangirl. I'm also friend of. So thank you, friend of the channel, Cory of make_shape_create.
I shoot her teasers quite often of the stuff I'm working on.
Yeah, no. And I think I've even sent you some completed stuff that hasn't even had its video up yet. So yeah, Cory's good people. So go follow him, subscribe, watch his stuff. For me, this week I have at some point Brick and I did we've already filmed it, but we both won at Toy Anxiety. They did a giveaway, and it was for the Sectar toys, the new figures. And we did that thing where it's like, if I win, because I wanted the girl figure, and he wanted the other one, Dargon. And we did that thing where it's like, if I win, I'll give you him, and if you win, you give me her. And he won. So we filmed the unboxing together, and he's editing them. I'm not gonna, no pressure, Brooke. I'm just saying this is in the future sometime. And he's editing his and then mine, so we'll both have he said, she said sort of episodes, not in a bad way. So those will be hitting sometime in the next few weeks. So definitely I'll advertise those, but be prepared. They'll be fun. I've got a color and chill on Friday, which is a strawberry. No, it's Shira. Ironically, it's a princess. It's a Dora, and Bo, and Frosta, and Cal, and they're ice skating. It's perfect color and chill.
Well, I just got this idea because I know you love Shira, and I was like, you know what? I keep wanting to do this.
Oh,
this
perfect.
drawing.
When you sent me I think you sent sketches. Maybe you were like,
yeah, I did.
I'm
Like,
yeah,
originally, and was like
then,
would this work? Does it need to be more detailed? And you're like, no, this is perfect.
This is perfect. Yeah, no, detailed is good, but if it's not as super detailed, it gives me more to play with. So that's coming, and then at some point I have two videos in work in the future that'll be happening. One is the Star Wars Imperial Troop Transport, and the other is He-Man and Battle Cat, which is similar to my Grayskull video, where it's the history of Battle Cat, then me having colored the old kid stuff record. So if you like this Castle Grayskull, there's at least two more like that are coming. One which we'll talk about Skeletor, but that's way in the future. So those are coming. Next Sunday, I will be here with Aaron, the toy enhancer, and we're coloring some G.I. Joe. So that's my week. So definitely check it out. Daily shorts, as always, until I run out and take a break. So yeah. All right. Let's see. You're perfect. It's fine. I didn't say that at all. I'm just saying so that people know that they need to watch that shit when it hits. So there aren't a lot of Spectars videos going up right now anyway, Brooke, so we're going to corner the market. We're good. And hello. Goodbye. Thank you, Flag Phoenix. Anyway, I'm Allison Troy, Retro Toy Princess. This is Cory, and we're out.